Falling!
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Falling!
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Falling!
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.
Fall in. Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good with you? What's going on this morning? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey, and you're rocking with your favorite vets of the next first formation morning sports talk. So come on and fall in as we get to talking about what's been cracking in sports over the last couple of days. As we know, it's the weekend, back Monday, ready to get revved up and started again. Time to tap in again, get your body going. Friday is just around the corner. So, of course, like you said, plenty of stuff going on when we last left. We had the NBA Finals, Game 3, correction, Game 4 that took place on Friday. Just after that, you had the NHL Finals that took place. You had some WNBA games, the National League, Major League Baseball games, of course. Currently, we got the men's college World Series going on. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. So let's first get into this MLB Major League Baseball games just taking place over the course of the weekend. So if you hear your first and favorite team, go ahead and let it be known in the chat. Let's just give them a quick shout out. Of course, first and foremost, they had the Los Angeles Angels faced off against the Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners falling by the score of 9-4. The Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees faced off. Red Sox take that by the score of 3-2. San Francisco Giants scrape up the Chicago Cubs 13-3. San Diego Padres and the Colorado Rockies, with the Padres getting beat just by 1 point by the score of 5-4. Cincinnati Reds face off against the St. Louis Cardinals 4-3 for the Reds. Oakland Athletics, that's the A's if you didn't know, against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers win the game. Brewers lose by the score of 8-6. Miami Marlins just get past the Chicago White Sox by the score of 6-5. Tampa Bay Rays and the Texas Rangers 7-3 Rays. Minnesota Twins take on the Toronto Blue Jays, with the Blue Jays just getting past the Twins by the score of 7-6. The Pittsburgh Pirates, New York Mets 2-1 Pirates, 6-2 to the Washington Nationals over the Atlanta Braves. The Kansas City Royals get smacked up by the Baltimore Orioles by the score of 11-3. The Arizona Diamondbacks take care of the Detroit Tigers by the score of 7-5. Los Angeles Dodgers lose to the Philadelphia Phillies 7-3. And last but not least, the Cleveland Guardians basically shut out the Houston Astros by the score of 5-0, of course. Um, games going on tonight, of course, today taking place, just a slate of 8 games. The Cincinnati Reds and Royals get their game going 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. Miami Marlins and Seattle Mariners 8:40 Eastern Standard Time. Atlanta Braves and Detroit Tigers, Boston Red Sox and the Colorado Rockies, St. Louis Cardinals at San Francisco Giants, Tampa Bay Rays and the Athletics, Phillies and Diamondbacks, Angels and Rangers for tonight, of course. What's going on, TT? Glad to have your information this morning. I hope your day's been going. Hope your weekend went pretty good, servicely good. Hope your day is going even better, sis. So before we get into last week's, I guess I'm not gonna say shenanigans. Um, quick shout out, real quick, over the course of the weekend. If you pay attention to MMA, that's mixed martial arts. You know, there was a milestone that was kind of like set out there. Um, One of those individuals, considered to be the GOAT, of course, hangs up her, I ain't gonna say lays out her boxing gloves and flexes on them and says decides to leave it all all along. That is none other than Amanda Nunez, considered the GOAT, double double division champion, as she goes out at the women's bantamweight and featherweight divisions. And basically after her what's good, AP? What's going on, Anthony? Glad to have you information, brother. You've been out of way off, fam. What's going on, man? With you? Hope everything is going great. Glad to have you tapping in with us this morning. But Amanda Nunez, bantamweight and featherweight champion, calls it quits in the UFC. They basically decided to retire after her win this past weekend. She won in dominant fashion, basically um, winning all her rounds against Irene Alanda, as she basically replaced who was supposed to be her opponent in Juliana Pena. As we know, Juliana Pena took Amanda Nunez's belt back in 2021. Amanda came back last year and took the belt back, and then they were supposed to have a trilogy. But Aladania had to step out because she sustained a broken ribs in training, so of course she couldn't fight anymore. But that opened the door for Nunez to basically retire. As she said, it was always in her mind that she was going to retire. She was just a matter of when. Uh, she never came out and said it due to the fact that she didn't want the fight to take on that that personality in reference to she was the one that was going to retire. That she was going to retire. She wanted it to be all about the fight. So so Nunez decides to keep it hush hush, dominant fashion. Put some things on Aladanya, and she decides to call it quits, basically stating that she always wanted to fight somebody. She wanted to end her reign against someone she had never fought before. So how she had fought Pena, then she said she wouldn't have retired because that was against somebody that she fought against. Uh, what's good, Mike? No problem, brother. Happy birthday, man. Happy you know saying continue to live prosperously. Um, glad to have your information this morning, brother. Hope everything's been good with you. So Aladanya uh became that milestone in which Nunez goes out uh with a victory, a very convincing victory, as now Amanda Nunez has retired. Of course, interestingly enough, due to the lack of competition in the I think bantamweight division for the women's in UFC, the ideal is that possibly that division is going to be retired with her as well, and she would just go on and right off into the subset. Basically, she says she's going at some point she's going to go back home to her native land of Brazil. But currently she's going to continue to look to train young ladies at her gym in Florida. Potentially, she feels like she has a lot to give back to the game at this point. She's been a long time champion, so she feels like she can at least put that into one young lady and develop her to be a champion as well. As Anthony Price says, she can't always come back from the retirement fight. That is possible. I know that Pena is basically talking that talk like basically she feels like she's been shorted with an opportunity for them to end their trilogy with the trilogy to determine who to break that tie. But Nunez might sit around and chill for a second unless Dana White can make saying back the truck up to make her want to come out. But she's had some of the saying great fights. Of course, Chris Cyborg, Ronda Rousey, Holly Holmes, in some of her fights. Valentina Shevchenko, she's defeated as well. So I don't know. After those type of names, and you've done all that in state, she's only lost two fights in her UFC record. I think 13-2. I think she was. Uh, was she 13? I think she was 13-2. She of course she has more fight, but she's only but in her UFC career, she's only lost two fights. Um, so shout out to her. She goes out like a goat. It's not too many people who get an opportunity to go off with in the championship way. I remember Jerome Bettis after winning their after the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, he decided to call it quits, um, go out as a true champion for the most part. Now, moving on. Uh, Actually, let's go here first before we get into um, the NBA, what happened and what couldn't possibly happen over the course of the. I know if my man Bishop was here, he'd be talking about this for the most part. As we know, the women from the women's college World Series, very dominant showing in Oklahoma. What's good, fam? What's going on? The Standing glad to have information this morning. Um, El General. But now that the women have taken their place upon the lore, as we know, the Oklahoma women's are for 3-0 in the last 3 years when it comes to the World College Championships in the women's divisions. At one point, the men were in there, but they just didn't have enough to make it. So now they're out of the super regionals. But just about all the tickets have been punched for the men's upcoming tournament. First, starting off in the Baton Rouge Super Divisional Regional area, Baton Rouge faced off against number 5 ranked Baton Rouge. Tops goes against number 12 ranked Kentucky, and Baton Rouge is taking care of business. Game one, of course, they wins 14 to nothing. Game two, with a clean sweep, best out of 3 series, LSU wins their region by the score of 8-3, advancing to the Men College World Series, one of 8 teams advancing. In the Charlotte region, of course, shout out, I'm going to say my man, Sandy, Charlottesville, um, Duke, and Virginia face off. In-state, Virginia gets the 2-1 series win to advance to the World Series. That's a 5 and a 7 seed in Virginia, 5 seed in LSU. In the Eugene Regional, Super Regional, it was an improbable win over the weekend as the Oregon Ducks came back from what was an 8-0 deficit, slayed the Dragon, won 9-8 for that game one, but evidently that was all the fight they had into them as unranked Oral Roberts goes and defeats the Oregon Ducks. 2-1 in their series as Oral Roberts advances to the men's College World Series. 5 other teams in play, of course. He said the Ducks haven't been the same anymore. That's your squad, Ant. Man, get them together, bro. They always got next year. Next up, of course, TCU advances by a 2-0 sweep in their division, taking out Indiana State for 4-1 in game one. Game two, 6-4. TCU advances out of the Fort Worth Regional. Gainesville in the Super Regional with Gainesville. Florida sweeps in South Carolina. Number 2 versus number 15. In-state number 2 goes on 2-0 sweep going on, moving on against the to the men's college championship. A couple of games that have not been done yet. That's in the Hattiesburg division and a regional, as well as the Stanford regional. Southern Miss currently tied with Tennessee in that regional. Game 3, final game today, played 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same for the Stanford regional as Texas takes on Battle Stanford for that spot. Texas won 7-5 in game one. Stanford battles back to win 8-3 game two. Game three tonight, 8 p.m., 2000 for the military minded Central Standard Time. And then last but not least, currently the only number 1 seed in the tournament, that continues to go on. Wake Forest, in grand fashion, takes out Alabama in game 2 for the 2-0 sweep. First game 5-4. Second game, last night's game, yesterday's game, 22-5 as they move on in grand fashion, going to Omaha with the opportunity to win it all. But everyone has to wait first to see what goes on with Southern Miss, Tennessee, Texas, and Stanford. So, of course, we might be able to talk about that tomorrow, see who goes on, see what's going down in the College World Series events. So, as I stated earlier, talked about it, got into it a little bit. The improbable almost look like it is almost upon us, as uh, what we thought or what presumed to be a great game, a great series. I don't know if you still can call that, even though the results is going. How about them Tigers? What's going on, Mike? They doing their thing, man. I give it to the 5 seed. Does LSU fall back in and claim the championship this year? They still alive. They got an opportunity. We'll see how that ends up going down uh, in the coming week or so. So as we was just saying, let's talk about Denver, Miami, Game 4. Opportunity for Miami to put the clamps and kind of like push the series, make it more of a series, of course. Um, Stop hopefully the certain dominance of the Denver Nuggets. Um, but again, we continue to talk about it. You can't let certain players have their way. Who really thought it would be a great series? Everyone thought it'd be a great series. I'm not going to even hold you. After Game 2, it looked like it was going to be a good series, Anthony. That's what it's looking like. And I wouldn't say as far as not a great series now. It's just certain things aren't going certain ways. That's not affording the opportunity for uh, them to finish out. Of course, when you look at it, game 5, Game 4. I'm sorry, Game 5 is tonight. We'll talk about it shortly. Game um Game 4, Miami, of course. Jimmy Butler, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 20 points from Bam Adebayo, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, but 7 turnovers is detrimental. Duncan Robinson, 12 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal. Kyle Lowry, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Cody Zeller even got a spin, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Caleb Martin, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Gabe Vincent, again, when Gabe Vincent isn't doing well, nor are the Miami Heat. Um, just 1 assist in 20 minutes of play. Um, Max Struess, no points. Again, another 20 minutes of play, no points from another role player. And Kevin Love, 12 points, 4 rebounds on the night. Then, of course, as Anthony was saying, true that. And I get it. Can't stop everybody. Ideally, we know it's hard to stop Jokic. It has been proven it's hard to stop Jamal Murray. Those are 2 players. Everyone else you got to stop from getting off. In which this case, it didn't happen. Nikola Jokic, usually, if he doesn't get an immense amount of assists, then they tend to do okay. But that doesn't mean you allow everyone else on the team to load up on assists, because that means people are scoring. In this case, of course, Nikola Jokic, 23 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 3 turnovers. Not bad. Plus, he was on the cusp of getting fouled out late in the fourth quarter. But Jamal Murray, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 12 assists, his 4th consecutive game with 10 assists or more. That means he the minimum has doled out 40 assists in the championship series alone. Again, can't allow that. But at this point, it's almost a moot point to say. But 15 points, 12 assists, 3 rebounds for Jamal Murray. Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon. Brown, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block off the bench. A problem child, if you can say so, to say the least. Off the bench. 21 points off the bench. Starter, role player. I guess you can say he's a role player if he's a starter. But basically, starter Aaron Gordon, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal in what should have been a game that Miami should have walked away with. 7 points from continuous Kentavious Caldwell. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. At this point, and then of course Jeff Green and Christian Braun 3 and 1 points respectively. So looking at that, listening to that, what does it say? This is what it says to me. Exactly, Randall. It's a wrap. Like they're a problem. Denver is a problem. Could we even potentially be stating, and might this be a little presumptuous? Is Denver potentially going for what they did? And if you didn't know, Denver found a way to pick up a first round pick for 2023, as well as a second round pick, and then a second round pick in 2024 by trading that their first round pick with, I can't remember who it is, but I think it was OKC to give them a first round pick in 2029. They're finding ways. Of course, we know how Oklahoma City tends to do their business, as well as Utah in Boston tend to pick up and stockpile first round picks for the opportunity to be able to trade them here or there, like trading guards. But that basically Denver was able to buy their way back into the first round, the NBA draft at the end of the month, and put themselves in position when you basically look at it as a team that's probably going to have a first round pick. That's going to have, not probably, that is going to have a first round pick unless they decide to trade that pick as well to basically solidify the bench, most likely, maybe get a stash of player or something like that that they've been looking at that hoping no one else is looking at, whilst becoming NBA champions. Presumably, it's still an opportunity. 3-1. Only one team has ever came back from a 3-1 deficit to win the championship, and that was the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James, Kyrie Irving versus the Golden State Warriors. A Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and led Golden State Warriors. Although that was the series in which Draymond Green was ejected when they was up 3-0, and it went on from there. But in any case, regardless of that, it's still a possibility. It's over. It seems like a wrap, as Haley was saying, but is it a wrap, or does Miami pull the rabbit out their hat and pull the Boston to where time after time after time they continue to fight and push it to a game 7? Can we see that? Game 5 tonight in Denver. Does Miami have what it takes to pull out another win in Denver, take it back home, get their first win in the playoffs in Miami, and then bring it back to Denver to force a game 7? Is that in the cards for Miami? I don't know. I don't know if Hero's playing. Give me a second. Haley, let me check out and see. Does Tyler Hero need to play? Is Tyler Hero the answer? Trust has definitely disappeared. Caleb Martin, he comes in. I think exactly what's going on is what we're seeing is what's exactly going on is the Jokic difference is it makes a difference. They're throwing everything they can, including Caleb, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Um, they're doing what they can. It's just not proven to be well. You know what? And honestly, I'll put this out there as a Lakers fan. I really feel that had Jamal Murray and I got hurt in that game, I don't. Well, nah, I'm not gonna say that because we swept them. Gentlemen swept them. So, but I was about to say, I think it was at that point it was Jamal Murray basically became this person which we're seeing. He made it happen, and now he's showing his dominance. Him and the Joker. The Joker's had 2 years to sit up and to incubate or whatever you want to say. And now he's going hard. I don't know if there's a ceiling, if he's met his ceiling yet. Can he be better? What I do know is it looks like he's going to be an NBA champion. Struess and Caleb Martin definitely disappeared. Uh, Vincent disappeared last game. The shortest player in Denver is 6'1", so 6'1" to 6'11". He's too small, and that could be it. But I mean, at this point, they're basically seemingly hush hush in reference to if Tyler Hero is going to play or not. I still haven't seen. Oh no, he's inactive, so no, he's not playing. So there will be no Tyler Hero. That was not out of nowhere. It's relevant, Anthony. It's pretty relevant. It's extremely relevant. I was just saying that I don't know if LA really won that series, but they did. They 4-1. It's a definite win. Uh, but it was pretty close. Jamal Murray, that's you got to keep taking consideration. Jamal Murray went out during that series. We didn't see him for 2 years roughly, and here he is back his first full season playing. And Denver is on the cusp of being the 2023 22-23 NBA champions. Um, and Miami is back where they last left off at. So, in saying this, what is it over? I know the ideal is over, but is it truly over? Is there anything in which Miami can do to stage off or hold off what can be the inevitable? 108-95 was game three. I mean, it was game four. Game five's going down tonight. 7:30 Eastern Standard Central Standard Time. Um, what could be said? Do they have enough? As I was about to say, is Denver a dynasty in the making? I don't think we can give them dynasty already, unless I mean I guess we could give them what you want. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. But are they a dynasty in the making? And he said, "Let them get one so they can win at home." It, well, they have the opportunity to win out tonight. They're on Denver's at home tonight, or are they? Yeah, Denver should be at home tonight. So is not Miami? I mean, not Miami. Is Denver on the way to creating and producing what could presumably be a dynasty? It's not impossible, Anthony. Now, do I really think? No, I really don't think that. But it's not impossible. That's all I'm saying. It's not impossible for them to pull off three in a row. It'll be hard, especially when they have to play two of them in Denver. They had an opportunity, but sometimes when adversity hits you, resiliency comes in. Um, and the resiliency sometimes could be what powers the ship. And he said it's impossible. It is not impossible. I don't think it's impossible. It might be it might be unlikely, extremely unlikely, but it's not impossible. It's happened before. A team has won three in a row to win the championship. Now they can have what I got y'all. I got it. I understand. I completely get it. But I'm just saying it's not impossible. All it takes is one game at a time at this point, because it's at this point, Miami, what can Miami lose but to go all out? They're already down 3-1. They're already down 3-1. KCP is 6-6 as a two, or what is he, a 2 or 3 shoot playing the 2 and the 3. Miami's down 3-1. At this point, all they can do is look at it as one game at a time. Put their everything into it one game at a time. Get to June 18th and then let it all out and see what happens. Let the chips fly where they may. So that's all I'm saying. It's not likely, of course, when you look at it. But it's possible. looking at what history has done, one team, as I said, 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers were down 3-1 and were able to one game at a time slowly but surely get back into the series and even win the series versus the versus the Golden State Warriors. So possibly it's possible. Anything is possible. Remember that. Let's go. That's all. That's Bam. That could be. I mean, that could be Bam. That could be That could be Jimmy. One of the two. It's possible. Of course, what um what Cleveland didn't what Golden State didn't have is a Nikola Jokic. They had shooting. They had a rendition, I guess you could say, in Draymond Green, but they didn't have the full package in Nikola Jokic. A basically do it all type of player. That's a big man, shoots from the outside, goes down low, becomes a banger. Impeccable passing skills. Um, his handle, I'm not gonna say he has a great handle or anything like that, but I guess he has enough to do it to take care of business. Um, and then gets boards, gets bucket, get cleans the boards. As stated, Bam Adebayo, although he is very agile and athletic, he's only 6'9", mouse in the house type stuff when it comes down to him in the paint. He has the ability to, in which they had an opportunity game for. They really had an opportunity, but it didn't. It just didn't bounce the ball. It didn't bounce their way. Um, Miscues and everything put them in the bad sorts. And next, you know, uh, they was down again. Game over. Now we're going into game five in uh in Denver. Um, I think if we're waiting for the Miami Heat to get Tyler Hero back, then it's already over. Does Tyler Hero make up the difference? That much of a difference? He brings in 15 to 20 points a game potentially. I don't know if that'll be him. The same thing. If Tyler Hero comes back, does that make a difference? Dude, now being a person that has to be watched, it has to be taken considered, an ability to give 20 points a game or 15 points a game. Does that make a difference? Um, the only way it does is they have to continue. Everyone else has to continue to do what they do, what have been doing. Struess hasn't been hasn't been active, or hasn't he's been actively playing, but he hasn't been contributing for the most part. And then Caleb Martin, what he was doing earlier in the run isn't what he's doing now. So it only falls on Bam. It kind of finds a Bam, Jimmy, Gabe for the most part. Uh, Duncan has been basically getting it going, but I think if Tyler Hero comes back, I don't know if Duncan is the same type of player. So it's just it's a matter just come to speak. And at this point, there's not going to be a Tyler. I don't think there's a Tyler Hero sighting in game 4 of game 5. So they basically have to do this all on their own without him. Maybe they have an opportunity to stave off the elimination and have an opportunity to get him into a game 6 back in Miami. Maybe play on the emotional aspect, and maybe that game 6 could be turned into a game 7 back in Denver. We don't know. If Hero is recovered but still not playing, that means he's really not ready. So I think that, as well as I think it's what it was seen as is initially, I think what we're seeing as is a chemistry thing, but at this point it's like I look at it as, or it could be there like if they don't get eliminated tonight, then it's worth bringing him back so he can play. But if he is, then why bring him back if he's just coming back off the injury and there's no reason to bring him back, especially if there's no game 6. They're in a hole at this point, and I don't think Tyler Hero is one of those talents in which he's going to make up tremendously that much of the situation. knowing what he comes to the table with or what he does. Do they just need automatic offense? Is that with all his offense be enough to help out the cause? I don't think so. I think he's just he'd be a huge contributor, but it might not help ultimately. Is he going to play defense? Is he going to be able to keep up with his assignment? Whether it be KCP, um, Jamal, or Brown, is he going to make that much of a difference? And then if he does make that much difference, can anyone else tap in to his and keep that energy? And so that's why I think it's not really necessarily that much of a difference for a hero to suit up and play at this point. So it doesn't look too promising um, for them, of course. Mike Malone has coached a has really, really, really coached his ass off. I guess you could say in state. That's all you can say. Mike Malone has definitely held his own. Um, Basically, saving the best for last almost. You got to think in his last 4 games, Mike Malone is 7-1 in the playoffs, which is presumably the best teams in the NBA reside. Mike Malone is 7-1 in his last 8 games, with a chance to become 8-1 and put an exclamation mark on it with the trophy. And like I said, the building upon, even though that's probably not of his doing, uh, does this game 7, but does this game 5 become a little too big for the moment for Denver, to where they may not be able to close out and give Miami a breath? Human nature can take over. Can Mike Malone kind of control that? Is it possible? I know everyone's out there saying it's not possible, but you never know what gets into a person. Like I said, I will continue to say resiliency, resiliency, resiliency. Everyone on the court has it, I'm sure. Who's is better? Who's got that octane in their resiliency mindset? Who's going to be able to dig down deep to set up even one, stave off this elimination, or two, finish the game, finish the series, claim the 2023 NBA championship on their home court? It's possible. Haley says if Miami can win this game, which he doesn't think they can do, but if they can win this game 6 at home, then anything can happen. Game 7. True. You're so right, Haley. And I think that's key. I honestly think that's key. I really feel that if Miami was to win tonight, I think game 6 back in Miami, we see Tyler Hero back potentially to again play on the emotional aspect, push the resilient mindset. Miami wins game 6, and takes Denver back home for game 7. I think that's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Miami will win a game 7. I do, however, think that Miami can get to a game 7. I think Miami wins tonight. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put that out right now. I think Miami wins game 5 tonight in Denver. I'm gonna have to eat the words come tomorrow, but I think Miami wins game 5 tonight in Denver. I think they can book. We can book that. Miami gets game 5. He said Jimmy better have 40. Miami might get game 5. Now, if Jimmy has to extend that type of energy, then they're not going to win games. They're not going to win game. They're not going to win game 5. They're not going to win game 6 because we got to take into consideration the whole altitude and all that type of stuff. They have to expand all that type of energy. Like their whole team needs to sit and get it going, so that way someone can reserve some type of energy. What are you? Oh my God! About Anthony? What exactly? What are you doing, bro? You don't think Miami can win game 5 tonight? I think they can do that. I think it is presumable for them to do it. So a king perfect. I'm not gonna say perfect. They definitely got to do. They got to do a lot. Because I mean, so think about it. This is how I see it. Miami doesn't have to be perfect. Exactly. They don't have to presumably potentially be perfect. They just need to be able to capitalize on whatever Denver doesn't do. Whatever Denver doesn't do right. They just got to capitalize on it. They ain't got to be perfect. They just got to sit up. They got to capitalize, and that doesn't necessarily mean perfect. We know Miami tends to lose and die by the 3, although they're not, what I'm saying, the most a huge prolific shooting team, but they just got to capitalize. And I think now, what I will say, Akeem, is I think Denver has to be perfect to stop this from happening. Because, like I said, what does Miami have to lose at this point, except for the series? They're already expected to lose the series. So, what else did it? What is there to think about or care about? All they got to do is show up. He says shoot 40 plus from 3, less than 9 turnovers. Y'all, you actually a lot, King, and out rebound Denver. That's asking a lot. But again, it's outside of the shooting 40 from 3 and the turnovers. All they got to do is so okay. Let's say 9 less turnovers than Denver. Again, doesn't mean that Miami has to be perfect. It just means they have to be better than Denver in this game. Whatever energy Denver got, we just need a little more. One greater, 2 is greater than 1. That's all you need to do. Just got it. That's all. You say just got to be better. That's all they got to do is be better. So whatever Denver on, you just need to be on it just a little bit more, and that's the possibility. So if Denver come out high energy, Miami got to come out with that high energy. In state, yes, Denver plays at home, but both teams are coming from Miami. So both teams are going to have to get used back to the altitude, get used to Denver might be able to get might be a little more conditioned, better condition, but both of them are in the same boat in a sense. Play ball. Let's go. All they got to do is be a little better than Denver tonight in order to push the pace. I mean, to sit up and stave off the elimination. Don't pack it in. I'm sure I haven't been to Denver, so I'm sure I hear everything about it. I got it, but again, both teams, of course, one like what Bane said, you nearly play in the dark. I've lived in the dark. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You've adopted it. I've all that type of stuff. I got it. You know what I'm saying? I got it. But in state is they're both coming from Miami. They're both coming from Miami to play. If they win game 5, okay, but game 7, come on, people. It's like saying Florida Panthers coming back against the Vegas Knights. It's possible. The Panthers could get it. This might be Florida's year. You might see if Miami can win tonight, we might see the Panthers win tomorrow night. It might not be Denver Nuggets tonight, Vegas Golden Knights tomorrow night, hoisting up the Stanley Cup Finals trophy. You might see a situation where Florida wins. Miami wins tonight. Florida wins tomorrow night. Haley said I played in Denver and I didn't know it's different, but I didn't play in the NBA either. And in fact, you know, what I'm saying like Akeem lives in it, so I would definitely defer to Akeem in him talking about it. Um, he said I locked you up in the whole camp. So it's definitely like I do not doubt, you know what I'm saying, without a doubt. I don't doubt that it's not possible, but it can be. Um adjustments to be made. I'm very sure there's plenty of adjustments to be made. One that's definitely not going to come in, and what I'm continuing to state and talk about is you're not going to see Hero. So that if everyone's waiting on Hero, it's not going to happen. We're basically waiting on the wrong thing. Jokic triple double tonight and win, locking in on FanDuel. I would say I don't doubt that Jokic don't gets a triple double. I give him that. I just don't think Jokic is getting the win tonight. I just don't think Jokic is getting the win tonight. I can see Miami coming out and outworking, out hustling, outplaying Denver and catch them slipping enough to get a dub and take it back to Miami. I'm riding with Miami tonight. I'm riding with Miami tonight. Get them up against the ropes, haymakers. I think Miami might be able to turn the tide tonight and get this win. What we can say. He 30-20. He could. I just think regardless, like I said, what Denver's on tonight, Miami just needs to be on it a little more. And I don't think Jimmy, you know what I'm saying? But take in consideration when Jimmy, that closeout game versus the Lakers in during the bubble season, Jimmy put it all out there on the court and that was it. So it can be possible. It could be the same thing. We can see potentially the same outcome. But it's when I look at it, let me see what's Jokic's numbers. So he fall at the third quarter always. They do. That's what and again, stay close, win the third, finish it in the fourth. That's what Miami need to be on. I'm riding all the way. They stay close, win the third, finish in the fourth. Jokic, slowly but surely, dumbing down. He came into the series at 30 points, uh, 13 rebounds, or I think 14 rebounds, 9 assists. Now he's tailored off. I mean, he's still pretty close, 30.8 on scoring, 13.5 in rebounds, and now 8 points, 8 assists a game. The difference has been his assists, I think, because he's edging out Bam in points by roughly 5, 7 points, 8 points, 10 points almost you could say. So 10 points, which you're not going to stop that. Just out rebounding Bam by a point. I mean by a rebound, and then of course make up the difference for assists. You slow Jokic's assist attempts. Like I think if you shift the focus from Jokic, well, defending Jokic and keeping him taking his lanes away, then you probably could slow him down. Jamal Murray is going to be the one. It seems like Jamal Murray for this series is the one that makes up the biggest that makes the difference. I mean, Jokic, we know Jokic is going to get his, but Jamal Murray is making up the difference. He's the one he's the person that's basically getting everybody going. Slow, if you could slow Murray and Jokic, then I think you don't, regardless of what's going on, I think they don't, everyone else doesn't have the immaculate game. They're having problem with Denver's role players. Christian Brown, Christian Brown, um, I guess you could say the Brown brothers is their biggest thorn in the side. Like in state, Michael Porter Jr. Hasn't had a good series. I would hate for this to be the series in which he goes in. So they put Jokic in foul trouble and still they lose. They did, but it's just too late. Like I said, Anthony, they put Jokic in foul trouble, but it was at they continued to let Jamal get off. Like I mean, and not even Jamal gets off. Bruce Brown and And Aaron Gordon, 48 points apiece. 48 points total. You can't you can't. Did they outscore? Let me see something. Did they outscore? Did they outscore? Game 5 tonight. Let me see something. Correction. I want to know: Did Brown and Gordon outscore Jokic and Murray? 108.95. Box score. Let's see. Jokic had 23. Murray had 15, 38. Brown 21. Yeah, so Gordon and Browns outscored Jokic and Murray. You can't have that in any case, no matter what. You can't have that. So you got to turn that tide. You got to keep that down. You got to if they held Brown. What is Bruce Brown averaging this series? What does Gordon average this series? Let me see. 4 games. So he's at in this. It's not giving me that number. Brown. So Brown had 21 last game, 5, that's 26, 37, 47. He's averaging 11 points a game. In this series, he's averaged 11 points. If they hold him to that 11 point, we ain't even got to talk about Aaron Gordon. If they're able to hold Brown to 11 points, 10 points a game, this game, then I think they could get away with it. Gordon had 27, 38, 50, 66. So Gordon is a little bit different. 66 games so yeah, if they can hold him to those points, if they hold Brown to 10 points, get Gordon back down around 6'6", he got 16 points. If you can get him down, they can do it. If they can sit up on that. Of course, that also takes into consideration KCP can't do what he done in other games. You can't let Christian Brown come in and get his off. You can't allow Green to score 10 points himself. And then you got to keep also. It's a tall task, honestly, when you think about it, because someone we ain't even talking about, Michael Porter Jr. hasn't had is almost non-existent, but it kind of like cancels out. Michael Porter Jr., Max Strus cancels out, or Caleb Martin, Michael Porter Jr. cancels out. Everyone else got to be held, and that's basically where we're going at, in my opinion, when you look at this. So, but I will not relent on what I believe or what I say. I think Denver gets shocked tonight. Miami gets the opportunity to hold off Denver yet again. Denver comes in, falls at homes, and then has to basically look at go back into the drawing board. Miami just one game at a time, and I think they can start it out tonight. One game at a time. That's my take on it. One game. This magic moment. That's all they need is one. Definitely without a doubt. Jackson and foe. That's all it takes is four wins of Wayne to get the championship. That's all y'all need is four. Jackson and foe. I seen Akeem on the Eccles. I seen the Eccles on the other day saying he got his schedule's clear for July. He trying to see who he can run with. As I seen the conversation came up, who's the best military basketball player? You don't need to be a teacher to be telling your students like just wait, Anthony. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. All it takes is one. I know everyone's seen what was that Endgame or whatever it was with the X-Men when Doctor Strange put up that one finger talking to Iron Man. That's all they need is one to get it cracking, to get it going. All you need is one to set it. And then we just rewind. Here we go again. Again, just need one. Game 7, anyone wins the one. So, but we'll see. It definitely see. You'll see how it comes out. Of course, looking a little deeper into free agency as we get ready to get into it potentially. As you know, next week is the draft. After the draft, a week later, the free agency begins. And who tends to be hot on the presses in reference to free agency? Thing keeps coming up. Dame Lillard, Dame Time himself, to where it was an expectancy. Potentially, ideal is that Dame could maybe be worked into a trade that would put him in Brooklyn. Dame did state that him going to Brooklyn he wouldn't mind going to Brooklyn. Of course, looking at what they have in their roster, it would either be Brooklyn or Miami. I think Miami would be a little bit more dangerous with a day there. But in any case, in state, first and foremost, let's not get it twisted. Damian Lillard would rather prefer to win a championship with the team that drafted him, that being the Portland Trailblazers. But if he had to go, he would be open to going to Brooklyn Nets or Miami Heat. But of course, it depends on. It really, in my opinion, it depends on who, the what, the where's, and why. Because if he goes to, I'm very sure if he goes to Brooklyn, the ideal is that some of those players there need to still be there when he gets there. He's not going there to be the only person there. So that means, of course, the Maliks and the Alexanders and stuff like that, they still need to be there intact. He doesn't need to get there and they're gone. Brooklyn has role players that are putting, in my opinion, are taking the position of the stars for their team. So Claxton is there still, of course. So I mean, they have some good players, but of course, for them to get Dame Lillard on a trade in the trade aspect, they're going to have to give up some of that. And I'm very sure they don't have enough capital in picks to be able to pull down and keep that roster, some of that roster, or the key players on that roster, and bring in Dame Lillard. So of course, that's expected that he's going to have to go. I mean, some of them going to have to go, one or two, of course. Besides that, that's I think the biggest that's out there. Another rumor supposedly Kyrie Irving potentially to become to be pursued by the Houston Rockets, who are now entering the conversation when it comes to the Kyrie sweepstakes. We know Kyrie Irving is a unrestricted free agent in Dallas. And expectancy is that Dallas is not going to give any help as inside and trade deals to put it to help Kyrie to leave their franchise. Although when you look at it, it's one thing to say that, but it's a whole nother thing to take a look at it when a team gets to offer you things and you like, this might not be a bad deal to send someone who doesn't want to be here. Hence the reason why we're having this conversation. So Dame again, that's why I had to say to preface that, Anthony. Dame said if they trade him, he's not asking for a trade. He's saying if they trade him, he would be open to going to Brooklyn or Miami. Not saying that he wants to be traded, but he's saying if the organization feel like they have to move on from them, he's open to going to Brooklyn or Miami before they try to just put him somewhere because that's the best that someone's offering for him. If the organization wanted to trade him, he's open to go to Brooklyn or Miami. But yes, Kyrie Irving to Dallas. So if Kyrie Irving was Kyrie Irving to Houston. If Kyrie Irving was to go to Houston, we already know Houston, I think, has the 4th or the 5th pick in the upcoming draft. Let me see so I can be exact. Get these draft orders. I don't think that's far off. Depending on, I think he definitely has to take a pay cut. But I can see that. I can see that. Of course, we have to open up room, but we already got other stuff in which we got to fix already. With determining who's going to sign, who's going to be there. Let me see. So current draft order, as we know, I just talk about the top 10, first round, top 14, first through 14. Of course, San Antonio Spurs got the number 1 pick. Currently possess the number 1 pick. The Charlotte Hornets at 2. At 3, the Portland Trailblazers. At 4, the Houston Rockets, as we just talked about. At 5, Detroit Pistons. 6, the Orlando Magic. At 7, the Indiana Pacers. 8, Washington Wizards. 9, the Utah Jazz. At number 10, the Dallas Mavericks. 11, Orlando runs it back. Hold on one second. Like I said, Orlando runs it back, picking up Chicago's first round spot. Oklahoma City at 12, 13, Toronto at 14 is the New Orleans Pelicans at the 14th spot. So with that being said, if Houston was able to pull off Kyrie Irving, but of course doing that, I'm very sure they're going to probably have to give up that first round pick to Dallas, or maybe even swap with Dallas, which puts Dallas at 4 and Houston at 10. What do you think? Philly cutting Harden and getting Kyrie? No, because Philly doesn't have to cut Harden. Harden has the determination to Harden basically controls that. All he has to do is opt out, become a free agent, and go compete, be in the same competition pool with Kyrie Irving. The only way that would happen is Harden would have to opt in to being in Philly. But of course, he would have to be, I think, 30 days before he can be traded. So I don't think so. So, and I'm very sure none of those players are going to pull a Kawhi like Kawhi did that year, and he held up trying to get drafted. I mean, trying to just make a determination of where he would sign, and basically had some of the players waiting, or some of the organizations waiting, to where they basically had to make a determination and go after other people, which eliminated the possibility of signing them. Kyrie or Chris Paul going to the Heat. So wherever Chris Paul go, in my opinion, is a team that is basically just, for the most part, lack of a better words, just on the cusp of winning or being a championship caliber team. And Chris Paul is there coming to solidify that roster. Of course, saying you got to account for Chris Paul, but he's not that player anymore. So he's not, saying, I think he's just like bringing in the Shaq. in his late years to where he's a player, he's a body, he has to be accounted for, but he's not going to be the one to win it for you. He's going to be a piece to help you win it. He's not going to win it for you. I think that's what Chris Paul is at this point. So it has to be one of those teams in which hence the reason why the Lakers come into play. I wouldn't even necessarily say the Clippers, but in order to keep him from going to the Lakers, I would say the Clippers to play on that aspect. Excuse me. Um, Maybe, like I said, the Celtics. I don't know if he'll be enough. Chris Paul would be enough to be in Miami. Uh, who else might there be? Milwaukee. Yeah, see, as I was saying, that Chris Paul to the Bucks, that would probably be to get Holiday off the ball, and he maybe move on to continue to be that December defender at the two. Um, so it's just it starts to be so Milwaukee, I think LA, the Lakers, the Bucks, um, the Celtics, uh where else? Just where he might be automatic. Improbable, but possible. Golden State. Um I wonder would he work in Sacramento, his tutelage to help Aaron Fox, and so I wonder how that would go. Would he work in Sacramento? But of course, they have their own things. But Harrison Barnes needs to be resigned, or are they gonna let Harrison Barnes go? Who are they bring in? So it's a couple of things for even to Sacramento, but it's some out there. I think he wouldn't do another run back to other places which you've been. They said T is a cone. I saw I saw Timo's post, what you said he started something, but yeah. So it remains to be seen. But we'll start to see it in what's today, the 12th. Got 18 days. Got 18 days before pre agency start. Next week starts the draft, and then after that, the week after that, you go into free agency. You got a couple of weeks there, Haley, to get in shape. You got a couple of weeks. Battle of the Yep, before Orlando. Yep, got a couple of weeks. Battle of the Shields. So, as I transition a little bit before we get up out of here, of course, officially it's been made official. Dalvin Cook is now released, no longer a Minnesota Viking. Released DeAndre Hopkins released. So you got some top talent that's out there that's sitting just waiting to be gobbled up. When you look at it, some landing spots potentially, as it's stated by in the NFL. Um, Miami Dolphins, of course, I think that would be key. I would actually like that, preferably for Dalvin Cook to go play in Miami, team up, start that with Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson connection, and then add Dalvin Cook as the bell cow running back, and then you have a nice change of pace with Mostert and Jeff Wilson. And then of course they have Devon Ackley, who was their rookie. So I think that would be a real good look. Baker Mayfield taking the Bucks to a Super Bowl. Stop it, Haley. So I think that would be a hellacious look for Miami to get him in their room. Of course, there's been talks in reference to it being Denver having an opportunity to take him, but I think Denver is pretty deep um, in their room. Denver is pretty deep in their room, but they have a nice now. If you look at adding him to Javante Williams, who's going to be coming off his injury, Samantha P. Ron is there, um, but he can. I think he'll definitely be more useful in in Denver because due to the fact that Williams. But if Williams gets back to the form in which he was playing with before his injury, then you also have Dalvin Cook potentially. That could be a problem. Also, they have good a wide receiver room with Sutton Sutton and Judy and it was who's a Hambrick? Who's the other? It's the third wide receiver in Denver, and then of course Russell Wilson with a year in their offense. That could be he could be a problem. The Saints, I don't know. Of course, it would be ideal because we don't know what's going on Alvin Kamara, but they did bring in Jamal Williams, who was pretty good in Detroit. So a 1-2 punch, particularly when you see a lot of teams starting to go to the running back by committee as opposed to a bell cow and running back. But I'm very sure it would definitely be. And then, of course, additionally, San Antonio. New Orleans also has Kendra Miller, who was picked up on their third round. So evidently, he's going to be expected to be utilized to help out Derek Carr. The Cowboys, of course, you always want to continue to think about them due to the fact that they only have Tony Pollard for the most part. Ronald Jones was brought in, but we don't know how effective he's going to be. You have, I think Rico Dow is a player that they drafted, as well as Deuce Vaughn, who was picked up late in the rounds. And then always the idea to bring back Ezekiel Elliott potentially. But I think if you bring back Elliott, and they have also Malik Davis in the room, but if you bring back Elliott, and then there's no reason to bring in Cook because that'd just be too much, especially when you still have to. You got Tony Pollard playing on the franchise tag. Excuse me. Then you bring in Dalvin Cook. Um, so definitely, if they bring in Dalvin Cook, I don't think you see Ezekiel Elliott coming back. Where he definitely could be needed is teaming up with his brother. Oh no, his brother got shipped out. I'm about to say teaming up with his brother. Oh no, he can. His brother's in there. So teaming with his brother in yeah, I was about to say that teaming up with his brother in Buffalo might not be a bad idea. James Cook is already current there, which I think he's expected to take the helm. You got Latavius Murray that's currently there right now, as well as they just signed Damian Harris. So that's the reason why I don't think that would end up being working. At this point, we're just talking, but realistically, after signing Damian Harris and Latavius Murray, along with James Cook, I think they're going to stick with that for their running back room, which is, in my opinion, isn't a bad room. Um, that's I think that's where he comes. Everywhere else starts to be like from Matt isn't worth speaking in my opinion. To put him in Arizona doesn't make sense in my opinion. I think Arizona has to kind of like rebuild and do some things prior to them just looking at going to get that. Of course, by that time frame, Cook isn't going to be available. He's going to be on someone's squad already, and they're just going to be outside looking in. Of course. Additionally, we always don't want to count out the bad man in Green Bay. I mean, in New York, part of Gang Green now. Um, that being Aaron Rodgers, Brees Hall, another running back coming off a year, an injured year. He can do damage and potentially um, be a problem and put some things on. You still have Zonovan Knight that's there and Michael Carter. So any of that could be. But ideally, I think the best fit for Dalvin Cook would be that in Miami. Um, going forth. Or it would be interesting. Let's say if we blinked our eyes and opened up, and it was they had Dalvin and DeAndre, which we haven't heard anything about DeAndre going anywhere. Currently, he's on his going to be on his second leg of his free agency trip, which will put him in New England. I was about to say Patriots. Put him in New England. So he's already had a conversation, talked to Tennessee. Next up, he's going to visit New England, see what it's like to be, see what they're talking about for him to be in Patriots land. And that could be a possible choice, as we know potentially there could or could not be a holdout between the New York Giants and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley currently saying that he's not going to be at camp. So does that mean a holdout? With that, does that mean enter like we just said, potentially Dalvin Cook, and then on the backside with an entry of Dalvin Cook, now you get an opportunity to where Saquon Barkley ends up getting back into the fray. Now you have a 1-2 punch of Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook. Could that cause a problem? As we know, that no one has won back-to-back championships in the NFC East in over 19 years. So, I mean, that could be a possibility. We could look and see what that holds. Um, so yeah, so that's definitely a possibility. Um, as Barkley doesn't isn't going to rule out sitting out, but that could be if they were to pull that off, get a Dalvin Cook, pull Barkley back in. Now we have what presumably could be a huge developing conference. I mean, division in the NFL, being that the NFC East maybe to rival what was that conference last year? Initially was thought it was going to be the AFC, but it turned out, or the NFC, which it turned out to be a run amok. So all possibilities. And last but not least, of course, Von Miller, as we know, he's been out uh, with the uh, with the injury, expected to be back. He doesn't want to be on the pup list after tearing his LCL. Not expected to be back on the pup list. As you know, if he starts the season on the pup list, that means he's going to be out an additional 4 games. So he's trying to avoid that so he can get all the repetitions that he can. Looking ready to be locked in and tapped in for the beginning of the season, coming back off his injury to lead the defense that was vaunted and was making noise. I don't know if Von Miller stayed healthy, would it possibly have been a different outlook in the NFC, in the AFC? Instead of being the Kansas City Chiefs, could we have seen the Buffalo Bills? I don't know, but in any case, I will leave y'all here with that. Basically, be sure to tap in tomorrow as we can talk about the prediction I make. Denver going down, Miami in the series 3-2, and going on from there. And then we can talk about maybe the Panthers winning another game and forcing yet a game 6 in what could probably be the end for as far as the NHL. So plenty to talk about, a little more to talk about tomorrow. And tap in as I hear my phone going off. Of course, that means I'm being summoned somewhere. But in any case, look forward to speaking to y'all tomorrow. Tapping in. Y'all know where to catch me tomorrow, 0900. Talk about this game in NBA. This is a Monday. Be sure to enjoy y'all's day. Look forward to speaking to y'all tomorrow. This is your boy Trey. Gladly appreciate y'all tapping in with me. Peace.